Hi, and welcome, Tiara. Lovely, lovely, lovely to meet you. We've talked before the recording started as to why you're wearing what you're wearing today, but I'm looking very, very festive indeed on your dress-up day. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to come and chat with us here today. Could you just share a little about you, what you do, and your role in education? Is that okay, please?
Awesome. So I have been a teacher in my district for the last 10 years, and I've recently took on a role as an EdTech integration specialist. And that's just a fancy way of saying that we support teachers through our district through new technology innovation in their classroom to really get their students using it more effectively. So just that extra support that our teachers really need at this time, we're able to provide.
And it's such an important role, isn't it? In my
Mhm.
experience, teachers do struggle with their confidence sometimes. The pandemic's been a big change for that. But you're an award-winning teacher. I read through my research that you won your district's Teacher of the Year award. How did that come about?
And that is a blessing. That's just an accolade for my amazing district and their constant support for new teachers. I won that at the school level, my fourth year teaching, and then moved on to the district level competition. And it is an award because our district is filled with amazing, outstanding teachers. And so to be nominated by your peers and then at another level, it's such an honor because all of our teachers are incredible individuals. So it's definitely an accomplishment to be one of them.
It's the best job in the world, teaching.
Mm-hmm.
I miss it terribly, and like I say, recognition from your peers is so
Mm-hmm.
lovely to have, because like many people, I don't know what the reasons why you got into teaching, but I've never met a teacher who got into teaching to not help people, to not want to make a difference, to not improve the lives of young people, those sort of things. You don't do it for accolades, do you? It's a very sort of morally driven kind of profession. So how lovely to be recognized by your peers, and congratulations for that, Tiara.
Oh, thank you very much.
Like me, clearly you're a big fan of technology for teaching and learning. You've probably seen my Twitter handle, ICT Evangelist. I
Mhm.
clearly like technology myself. But as the EdTech Innovation Specialist for your district, what are your thoughts on technology for learning?
Well, I started using technology day one in my classroom. When I first came through the door, our school didn't have anything. And I mean, we had one big desktop robot in the back of the classroom, and that was it. And my first year of teaching, I just decided, because I had so much money straight out of college, I'm going to purchase one tablet every month. And so every month when I got my paycheck, I would buy one tablet, and it was not one of those fancy tablets. It's when the tablets were like, $49, great equipment in your hands. And so I bought one tablet every month until I had a tablet for every group in my classroom. And what I learned in that experience is that you don't need more technology, you need to use technology more effectively. Because I didn't have my students, each of my students didn't have a computer or a device, but they learned how to work together, they learned how to create, they learned how to communicate. And it was something that has impacted me. The following year, I received a grant and I got iPads for my entire classroom. And I truly believe that it wasn't for that first year of starting small and building those relationships and getting my students working together, then I never would have used it effectively the following year. And so that's what I always tell my teachers now. It's not about how many devices you have, it's not about what devices you have, it's what you're doing with the actual devices that means everything. And so I always give that little anecdote because I really feel like that's what our teachers say. I don't have it, or it's not the best, or this app doesn't work. And it doesn't matter. If your students are working together, if you have a goal in mind, you can make it happen.
And absolutely. And I mean, there's an adage that I share from an old song out of the 80s where I say, like, it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it, and that's what gets results.
Mhm.
And so it's so important to have those kind of approaches, I think, don't you?
Absolutely.
No, definitely. And so, clearly you're quite innovative and clearly passionate about these things as well. What sorts of approaches and tools do you share with your colleagues across schools in the district to try and use? Clearly, you're a Microsoft district using
Mhm.
Teams and the like, but what other sort of tools and approaches do you share to using technology for teaching and learning?
And I always tell my teachers to start with the goal. I never try to push one application. Flipgrid is amazing. We have all of these Canva, we have all of these amazing web tools and applications, and they're spectacular. But I never start with that tool. It's always, what do you want? Where do you want to grow? Are you trying to have your students' voice be amplified? Are you trying to get your students to create something, to build a product? What's your end goal? Do you just want engagement increased in your math lesson? Like, what's your goal? And then let's make the technology work for you. Let's not try to fit a square peg in a round hole. Let's try to make it work for you. And I think that approach is what really hooks our teachers, because I'm not trying to force something that doesn't fit. I'm trying to increase participation, communication in their classroom, and they're all on board for that. And so just having them talk out their goals for their classroom, and there's a tool that can help them and make it more effective for them. There's always a tool that does that. If I hear that piece, I can find the tool to match. And it's always that backward designs that really connects us with our teachers here.
No, I completely agree. An old colleague of mine always used to share that technology should enhance but not dictate the learning activity. So start with what problems are you facing with in your classroom, right? How can technology then help? That's absolutely in alignment with my thinking as well. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tiara. One of the issues I find with teachers is sometimes they sort of lacking their sort of confidence with sometimes because they're unfamiliar or they're scared of breaking it or it not working. How do you sort of help those sorts of teachers who are those sort of educators who are finding things a little bit scary, let's say?
And I feel like you just have to find out what that is, and you start with that conversation, because sometimes it is a fear of not knowing, but sometimes it's a fear of not having adequate devices. Sometimes it's a fear of just not being the expert in the room. And so just starting with that and just letting them know it's okay. It's okay to not have everything right the first time. It's okay for it to go horribly wrong the first time, because guess what? You just learned a way not to do it the second time. And so that's what I tell our teachers. Do not be afraid. We tell our students all the time, jump in. This is an experience. And so they kind of got to bite the same bullet, and they got to do the exact same thing and just try it. And if it goes wrong, we'll fix, we'll mend, and we'll get back up and try it again, because you just really got to just dive right into the pond and don't do the little feet wet thing. You kind of got to go straight in, because that's technology. It's always going to be a bumpy ride. It's not ever going to go smoothly 100% of the time. That is never going to happen, no matter what device or application we use. You just got to be okay with that and knowing, hey, it's going to go wrong, but I'm going to learn a way that didn't work, and I'm going to make it better the next time. So just that attitude is really like that game changer. Like, it's okay. It's okay. And exactly what I tell our students is exactly what we tell our teachers.
No, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I'm fortunate in that whenever I'm sort of working with schools myself, things will often go wrong for me, and so I say to them, this is the sort of thing that will happen, and it's more about the thing between the laptop and the chair that makes you the person. That's what actually can make the big difference, isn't it? Have you got any examples of sort of success stories that you could share at all linked to that?
Just in general with teachers working past their fears? Oh, absolutely. Every year right now, we're moving to Microsoft from a Google district. And, with change comes some apprehension. And so as we're going through this, we just remind our teachers, when I first started as a teacher, we didn't have Google, we didn't have Microsoft, because we didn't have devices. And I just remind them about how that journey was at the beginning, because they forgot that journey, them first using computer devices in the first place, and they got through it. And so just keeping it in mind that it's always going to be something new. Technology is never going to be stagnant. And so just keeping that in mind, that you just always have to just be ready for change. And so that's just something that we come into contact every day. That was just like, this one's so much easier. I already know this tool. I already know this application. I want to just stay with that one. And so our goal is just to remind everyone that in life there's change, and just how you learned that last tool, because you can remember you were apprehensive about that one, right? And so as we move on to the next tool, just reminding them that you overcame that one and you'll overcome this one as well, and you'll love it 3 years from now just like you, and it'll be your baby now.
That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, Tiara. Listen, I'm mindful that you've got a very, very limited amount of time, but I've got one final question for you, if that's okay. Which is just basically, have you got any sort of final tips that you'd like to share? You've been sharing some really good advice for people scared about using technology, about implementation, and how you can shift from Google to Microsoft, and how you can support those teachers. But are there any other sort of ideas, tips, hints that you could sort of share that would be of interest, do you think, for the educators?
I would just say, just to all educators, when you're trying something new with students, just realize that your students are always going to be that expert in the room. And so use their expertise. Okay. Definitely, when you're trying anything new, let them get in, let them play with that tool, because I promise you, they're going to teach you something. You could take a 6-hour course on that application, and those students, after 15 minutes, are going to show you something new. And so you got to give them that time with any new tool. Let them get in, let them play with it. Let it be something that's not academic the first time you try a new tool. Let it be a friend finder, or getting to know you activity, or brain break with resource. And so you just take that content out, take that pressure out when you're with a new tool, and just let the students explore the application without any pressure, without any stakes. And that'll be the game changer, and you'll see, because they're going to show you how to work that application better. You're going to feel more confident because you're going to be watching your students explore. And so that was just the biggest, just step back, take that teacher hat off for just a second, become that learner, let your students take that role, and just learn from them, because that classroom community is the community, and you all can learn from each other. So just that's my biggest tip. Just when you're starting something new, just let that happen, because you'll definitely get a lot of bonuses for it.
No, I completely agree. That's an amazing advice there, Tiara. Thank you very much. And it's so important for relationships, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'd be helpful to show the learners in your classroom that you're vulnerable, that you don't know absolutely everything. Learning's lifelong, and
Mm-hmm.
and have that sort of backwards and forwards with the learners in your classroom. That's just so powerful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, look, thank you so much for taking some time to join me on the NetSupport Radio podcast today, and really, really appreciate that. For those people who might want to connect with you, where would they find you on social media? Have you got any have you got a Twitter handle? Have you got a website? Anything you'd like to share with us at all?
Okay, yeah, you can definitely follow me. I'm on Twitter at Miss T EDU. Definitely follow me. I would love to see you there and connect.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Well, listen, thank you very much indeed. And as you can probably tell, if you're watching this in February, we did record just before Christmas, which is why I'm
Christmas
now going to
vacation.
very Merry Christmas and season's greetings to yourself, Tiara, and keep safe. I hope everyone's keeping safe and well with all the COVID issues and variants and all these different things, but wishing you the very, very best for the future, and hope that our paths cross soon. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mark. Have a great day.